Last few years, I have, dealt with a lot of different technologies, quite deeply in some cases and superficially. DevOps, all sorts of cloud stuff like cloud native, migration, testing in production, dealt with AI, how to test AI, and how to use AI in testing, and many others. But today I'm not going to talk about any of these right now. I want to talk to you because I'm using the word talk, right? It's not one-way transmission. So I'm going to ask you questions and you are going to answer. You don't need mics. You can probably shout loud enough. Otherwise, your neighbor can probably help your voice reach here. What is the state of testing today? What do you think as a tester are some of the key skills you need to get in order to stay relevant in your field? I'm asking question. Critical thinking, all right? Not an answer that I was expecting, but thank you for this answer. What else? Automation. What else? Learning, strategy. Ability to cope up with changes. Awareness of what? What are the technologies that are gaining traction in the market? Is that what you mean? All right, thank you. Domain plus technology, all right. Anything else? Machine learning. Ability to put yourself in the shoes of the user. Wonderful. Anything else? Common sense. Again, never thought that would be said here, but thank you. So, who says that these are the skills that are required? Do you have any data to prove what you are saying? You are going to possibly tread on a path based on your beliefs, correct? So if somebody says, like our friend here, critical thinking, so then you would say, okay, if critical thinking is a skill that I need to gain that skill. And if I already have that skill, then I need to probably sharpen my edge a little more, and so on. But let's say critical thinking skills are not required anymore, a year or 2 or 5 from now. Do you have that data? Do you have that understanding? How do you navigate your career? That's a question that I'm asking you. On the basis of answers you have given me, right? But what is the basis? How do you know that what you are saying is correct? So I have I have tried to be not engaged in online debates, but there are a lot of online experts, so-called experts in testing. Some of them are really experts, some of them think themselves as experts, some of them only write. They don't do testing. Some of them do testing and write also, a lot of people, different types. If you are following debates and discussions, some of these people you would be able to recognize just by my description that I gave. But what they say, if you take that as the gospel, as the word from God, and you base your career and your learning on that, you have to ask first a question, what they are saying, is that correct or incorrect? And on what basis do they say that? Because as a published expert, everybody has their own way of thinking, their pet peeves, and what they think where technology and testing jobs are going. So who should then I look at? Should I look inside where I'm working and see what initiative the management is taking about skilling of testers? That could also be one of the ways to look at it. So you tell me where your company is putting their training money, skilling money. What is it that your testers, you, other people are getting trained on? Tell me. Nobody gets trained on anything? I need to talk to HRs of your companies. You're not putting a good picture of your company here. Has anybody heard the word SDET? Some people say SDET is out, some people say SDET is in. I'm not yet able to figure out what SDET is, forget about in and out. But a lot of companies use the word SDET very loosely, correct? And they want their testers to be trained. Some companies use the word QE instead of QA now. So QA to QE transformation, for example. Now, what is it that they want really testers to do? I'm not very clear about it. Then there are developers who have hijacked testing. Do you agree with me? How have they been able to hijack it? That's a question I want you to ask. Because of our issues. So DevOps, right? Where is testing in DevOps? Somebody said from there automation, right? So automate the bugs out of the product. Is it possible? But there are big CEOs, CTOs, and I'm sorry for ruffling their feathers and offending them, but as a tester, that is my nickname, right? Serial offender. We are always offending people. So they say you don't need manual testers anymore. Have you heard this statement? So if you don't need manual testers, what kind of testers do you need? Are there any other type of testers? Because automation is development, really. There's nothing testing there. The test case that you are automating is the testing, isn't it? And that comes from a tester. Am I correct in saying that? So, when you say automation, who is going to do that critical thinking about testing that needs to be done? Has any CEO, CTO, VP technology answered that question? Will automation find me bugs? So, just a couple of months ago or a few months ago, nobody had an answer to that. But still, because the whole world is moving towards, more code, and this whole testing pyramid. I don't know why they call the triangle as a pyramid. That's another thing that developers tend to do, use fancy words, but always they are depicting a triangle. And this says only minimal amount of UI testing and so on. I'm asking question, do you have data to prove that more unit and integration tests should lead to less UI test, or is it just fanciful thinking that somebody has done and published a paper? And developers know nothing about testing. They read a developer's paper on testing, and suddenly everybody goes gaga on that. And everybody is quoting, and the CEO, the CTO, the VP, everybody is putting those triangles or pyramids in their test strategy and how they are going to equip their company for the next millennia. Right? There is since Ramit said Urdu Sher, there is a song from a Pakistani band, Sayoni. I don't know how many of you have heard that. There is a line there which says that, khabar ek pal ki nahi. So which says that, no, you don't really know about the next moment, but you are planning for centuries. So, but then something else happened. ChatGPT happened. And suddenly, all these smart people have now say, okay, now for sure we don't need testers, because we will have some guy, maybe we'll call the janitor, and we'll give ChatGPT, and this person will ask some question. Well, the easiest thing would be to feed the requirement and say, write test cases. It will write test cases. Of course, ChatGPT can write codes. We'll say, convert these test cases into code. You don't need testers. They forget that first we'll ask ChatGPT to write code itself, so no developers are required. Testers might still be required because somebody needs to do manual thinking, right? The thinking is manual, unfortunately. It has not been automated yet. So this is a question that I want you to seriously ponder. What direction is testing taking? And are we heading towards catastrophes where, based on our correct or false beliefs, whatever they are, I have no study to prove or disprove that More unit testing should lead to less UI testing at the top. I have no study to prove it or disprove it. But what I am asking you is, think, is it going to lead to catastrophes because there were no human eyes looking at the software? That is one question you should ask, because if we learn from catastrophes and go back to the 90s, where developers were doing all the testing and there was no separate testing team, and slowly independent testing happened, and people were not very convinced about getting into testing, and then the whole TCOE thing happened and so on, and there was a plateau, and now all it is coming down. At some point of time, it will have to go up again. Don't think that you've come down and all the time now you would be down and testers would not be required. So how things are going to change? What impact, the way you are doing things today, what impact is it going to have on software in general? And what catastrophes can it lead to? And what should we do to prevent that? All the decision makers here, please think about it seriously. I have a website, takingtestingback.com. I have had it since last 6 or 7 years, not done anything on that. But hopefully in a year from now, I would be doing something. Yes, please, you have a question? No? All right. So with that, I would leave the stage for Rahul. Just request you to think more where we are going, and why did we let the developers hijack testing? Why did we not write more? Why were we afraid of code? As a tester, you need not be afraid of code. Code is your friend. And that is where we actually gave all the reins to developers, and we have taken a backseat. We have become now second-grade citizens once again. Not a happy situation. On that dark, gloomy note, I leave for Rahul to basically lighten the atmosphere. Thank you so much.